Alright, welcome to part 2. Let's look at some revenue management. So yield management as a method to sell the right inventory unit to the right type of customer at the right time for the right price. And here's some research managing capacity through reward programs for you to check it out. Now this yield management is used a lot in the travel industry, hotel industry, airline industry and restaurant industry. Now one thing about this is they've all got fixed capacity. The travel industry, like buses and stuff like that, you've got set number of seats on the bus. Hotel, you've got set number of rooms for the hotel. Airlines, have so many seats on the aeroplane, and then restaurant, there's so many tables you can serve, right? So for here, revenue management is going to include a lot of this yield management stuff. So revenue management first emerged in the airline industry, but can be applied in industry where the following conditions apply. Capacities are relatively fixed and perishable, such as airline seats. Different market segments exist, such as football game. You've got some, they think of AFL games, you've got the members, or even then you've got like premium members or whatever they are, life members and stuff like that. And then you've got normal members, and then you've got the casual people that go to the game but go often, and then you've got other people like me that will just go when your mates are going type thing, right? So there's different market segments that are clearly evident within these markets. And it's the same with airlines. You've got first class, economy class and business class. Alright, services sold in advance, pre-bookings, valuable and uncertain demand, so variable, so you need to adjust your pricing strategies to variable demand. Low marginal sales variable cost but high marginal product cost, such as the higher tilt. So selling an extra unit isn't actually that much more expensive because the hotel's already there, you've already got your staff there, all that sort of stuff. But actually producing to add an extra hotel unit in there is actually quite high. Alright, now let's look at the yield management to sell the right inventory unit to the right customer at the right time at the right price. So the right inventory unit is the price product combinations and bundles, and the underlying concepts here are service quality, customer satisfaction and customization. The right customer is segmentation, segmenting our market, cutting up our market to make sure we know what the different groups of customers are. And they're going to have different willingness to pay, and to make it even more complex for our pricing analysis or our revenue management is the different price elasticity within those different market segments. So often we look at price elasticity as an overall thing, but when you get more advanced in your marketing, your price management, you can understand that as you go further into the detail, different segments of the market have different price elasticity too, so then you can adjust not only your overall pricing but pricing segmentation strategies as well. So that's really good. At the right time, reservation, allocation, forecasting and overbooking policies, which is really cool how they do that. When they sell an aeroplane seat, they'll go, just say the airline is scheduled to take off, is just say in 6 months in advance when they open up the sales for that, and they'll expect they'll have a model that predicts how many seats that they'll sell up to the time that airline leaves, right? Now, if they're selling more seats than what's normal, the price goes up. If they're selling less seats, the price goes down. So it's dynamic pricing according to the dynamic demand for that thing, right? Now that's when you think of one airline, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then you can think of how many airplanes take off at the same time, and you try and do that for every airplane at the same time. So they use computer models to work that out, which I think is pretty cool. And then at the right price, so we're setting prices, value pricing, competition pricing, and price discrimination. How we separate from different segments. Now, let's look at price elasticity. This should not be a new concept for you. You should all know about this. Price elasticity of demand is the percentage change in the quantity demanded over the percentage change in the price. Now, to allocate and price capacity effectively, the revenue manager, which is usually the marketing manager or someone that we're employing, needs to determine how sensitive demand is to price and what net revenues will be generated for different prices at each target segment. Now, the concept of elasticity describes how sensitive demand is to change in price. Now, some students will be looking at this and go, wow, that looks really complex, how are we expected to know that? But it's really simple, right? Unit elasticity, so we've got these different types, is when sales rise or fall by the same percentage of the price rise or falls. Now I'm going to keep it simple as possible. So if you've got 100 sales at $100, right? So just if you're selling widgets, calculators, phones, whatever, nail clippers, whatever you're selling, doesn't matter, right? So just say you're selling something, let's go with calculators, right, for example. If you're selling 100 calculators at $100, right? Now, if you increase the price by 20%, so just go, well, $120 then your price falls by 20%. No, sorry, if you increase the price by 20%, so $120, but your demand falls by 20%, so then there's only 80 customers, right? That's unit elasticity, because the amount that you change the price, 20% up, the demand drops by 20%, right? Unit elasticity, and you might think that makes sense. That's what happens most of the time, but it's not, right? We talk about elastic is when the small change in price makes a big impact on sales. So if you go selling this at $100, calculate $100, and you increase it by 20% to $120, and sales dropped to like 50 calculators, the percentage drop is 50%. So the price went up 20%, but you lost the volume of sales is 50%. So that's very elastic. It's sensitive then, right? So a small change in price has a big impact on sales. Now, inelastic is when a change in price has little effect on sales. So you go, well, right, calculators selling at $100 and we're selling 100 of them. If we lift it up to $120 per calculator, but we're still selling like 98 calculators, right? That 20% change in price had such a minimal impact on the amount that we sold, which is only 2%, right? So, typically we'd go, remember we talked about pricing strategies, we'd say increase your price until you get about unit elasticity. So that's kind of where we target. Alright, I just got an error message, so I hope that keeps working. Alright, now designing fence rates. So the design here is for revenue management uses the concept of price and product discrimination. Price discrimination is when different customers pay different rates for the same product. Product discrimination is when customers buy different products for the same price. Now, the trick to here is we segment by customer value. So different segments of within our market are going to value our product differently, right? And even, again, different features and designs and stuff like that. So build a fence between the high value customers and the low value customers. Now, properly designed fences allow customers to self-segment. So they get to choose what segment they want to be in. We'll analyze it, and so we create these segments as like a strategy thing, but the customers choose themselves what they value and therefore which segment they belong to, all right? Now, non-physical fences such as booking times and cancellation policies, and we've got these tables coming up. So you could go, like a fence could simply be, if you are going to book it a month in advance, you'll get a discount. Right, that's a fence, that's a thing. So everyone that books before that time gets that discount. If you book, just say a week in advance, you get even a less discount. You get like a different discount. And if you book after a week, you get no discount at all, right? Now the customers themselves select what segment they go into. If they're well organised ahead of time, they're going to get that big discount. And then if they're not paying any discount. Now the customer can't really get too upset and go, your pricing strategy is unfair because you're which it is, it's discrimination pricing, but it's discriminating on an attribute that the customers themselves get to choose, right? So if they want to be organised, book in advance, they get discounts. If they don't, then they don't get the discount. So it's still, although it's price discrimination, it's discrimination, it's still fair. A good understanding of the demand curve is needed, and we'll have a look at that in a sec. So here we have the different types of fences. I don't really have time to go through the whole lot, but we talked about the time booking of services, location or booking of services, the flexibility of ticket uses, the time or duration of use, location of consumption, the frequency, group membership, which I think is a really good one. This is a really common one. So if you get student discount, that's a fence. So you go, well, why does that customer get a discount and I don't? Well, they're a student, right? It's discrimination. It's pricing discrimination, so discrimination pricing, but it's still okay because it's still perceived as fair because although you don't really get to choose, you can choose to be a student, but that's not going to be a student just to get a price discount type thing, right? So, but usually our society thinks, well, students earn less money because they're studying, so their role in society is one where they have a reduced income, so therefore organisations giving them reduced discounts kind of makes sense. Overall it's seen as fair by our society. and then geographical locations as well. All right. So here is a demand curve, so price and quantity, which is the capacity of the aircraft, and then the highest seats are those for first class. Yeah, there's going to be less demand for those, but more price, which makes sense, right? So there's one segment. The full fare with no restrictions. There's another segment. And you can see here, with just in one aeroplane, you've got all these different segments. Now this might be too many segments for one aeroplane, but if you've got, if you're Qantas and you've got, I don't know how many planes they've got, I imagine hundreds of thousands of planes flying around Australia all at the same time, then it's not just one market for one plane, it's like, it's sort of aggregated to all the planes, all your services. Alright, now let's look at the effectiveness of revenue management. So we've got here the asset revenue generating efficiency, the ARGE. And this is a measure to the extent to which the organisation's assets are achieving their full revenue generating potential. And the formula for the ARGE is capacity use rate, so how full it is, by the yield rate, how much money we're making out of each one of those, like the percent, like whether we're charging the full price or discounted price. Now I'll give you an example. So we've got a hotel room here, right? Now imagine in this hotel there's 400 rooms, and the normal price per room is $200. Right? So if you sold 400 rooms, all rooms at the full price, you'd be at 100% revenue generating efficiency. So you'd be 100% efficiency. All the rooms sold at full price, right? But that's not very realistic, and that's not what happens. So, just say we have 120 of our rooms sold at normal price, right? But because there's lack of demand, we're going to increase. We're going to adjust our pricing strategy and give discounts, right? So we go, well, there's going to be a big discount. So we're going to start selling rooms for $120, and we sell 120 rooms for $120. Right? So it's not full price, it's discounted price. Now we have a 60% occupancy rate then, because we've got 120 rooms at full price, 120 rooms at discounts, that's a total of 240 rooms out of the 400. So we've got 60% of all our rooms have customers in there. Now, we have an 80% yield on that 60%. So of those rooms, we're only getting 80% yield because we've got 120 rooms at full price, plus we've got 120 rooms at discounted price. So we add these two together, divide it by the number of rooms that we sold, the 240, times it by the full rate, equals 80%. So we've got, of these rooms, so of these, how many rooms? We have 240 rooms, getting lost here, of these 240 rooms that we're using, we're getting 80% of the normal price from that. So then our average revenue generating efficiency then is the 60% of the, which is the percentage of the rooms that are full, times it by the percentage of revenue, the yield that we're getting for each room. So it's equal 0.48, which is 48%. I hope that makes sense. We're going to go through an activity of this in the workshop, so I look forward to that. Now we've got some ethical considerations in service pricing. So it's complex, right? The more complex we can make it, the better we get at this, the better we'll run our businesses. And pricing brings money in, so I encourage you to spend a lot of time getting this. But it's so complex that it's hard to say, teach services marketing. Go, well, this is what you should do. This is what you do. This is what you do. It's more an overall thing and how to adapt to changing market conditions. So piling on the fees. That's unethical. So it's really when they sign up for a service type thing, thinking it's one price, but then you've got all these small print. I got to pay extra for a booking fee, extra for service, credit card surcharge, extra for this, extra for that. Like, it's annoying. Exploiting consumer ignorance. It's so true that as managers in the organisation, we know more about the organisation than our customers, so exploit their ignorance. It works in the short term, but customers find out and they get super angry and dissatisfied, and destroys you in the long run. Designing fairness in revenue management. So think about design price schedules and fences that are clear, logical and fair. Use high published prices and frame fenced as discounts, not surcharge. So that's, you need to think about that as well, because it's just not fair. It kind of links in with customer ignorance as well, because if the customer's new, then they wouldn't do it. Communicate consumer benefits of revenue management, so it's win-win, which I think is a great idea. So if you go, well, it's not fair because one customer's getting more of a discount than me, and you'll get this when you're managing customers. The more customer relationship management work you do, the more you'll come across this. I definitely had this where customers go, oh, it's not fair that these people are getting bigger discounts than me, and it's just simple. Like, explain the reasons why they get, and if your reasons why they're getting discounts are fair and why your pricing model's built that way, I've just straight out said to them, I said, if you can turn over, if you spend the same amount of money with me as my big customers, I'll be able to give you those discounts as well. So that's a pricing model based on quantity of sales, right? And it's more efficient and effective for us to deal with customers that spend a lot more money, because I spend time with them, but their volume of revenue, like their sales, covers the cost of servicing those customers, right? One customer that takes a lot of time to deal with but only buys a very little bit, you need to charge them more because it costs more to service that customer. So you can explain the benefits of revenue management. Using bundling to hide discounts is you need to think about how that works. Usually, if you bundle things together, you do get a discount. But if you bundle things together, it can be unethical. Take care of loyal customers. Key thing, right? We talked before. We're going to talk a bit about the cycle of mediocrity, cycle of failure, cycle of success. Focusing on attracting new customers, it generates issues. But if you take care of your loyal customers, make sure that their pricing is fair. Keep them. That's where a lot of your key business is going to be coming from. And then use service recovery to compensate overbooking. And there's quite a few issues with that. Some organisations like aeroplanes, they deliberately overbook, knowing that people are going to cancel or aren't going to show up, and you think, oh, that's a bit risky. But I don't do it, but they use maths like statistics, and you go, well, you can be quite sure that if you've got a plane with just say 400 seats on there, and regular, like there's like nearly every single plane flight, although you're booking 400, there's always going to be 8 to 10 people that don't show up, then you can oversell just say by 6 seats, and you go, well, that's covering the 8 to 10 people that aren't showing up, right? And then when everyone shows up, it's going to be such a rare event that you can go, well, look, we've made so much money on overselling all these other ones that we can actually compensate you and book you on another flight. I'll let you stay in a fancy hotel overnight, stuff like that. All right, so this is the end of this part. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.